everyone, and welcome to today's Free Training Thursday. I have Darren Juby here with me, and he will be taking us through today's Amicus attorney presentation. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the sidebar, and we will get to them at the end if we have time. Without further ado, I will turn it over to Darren, and he'll take us through the presentation.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's Amicus Next Free Training Thursdays webinar. This week, we're going to be focusing on the feedback feature that has been recently added to Amicus Attorney. So as Amanda said, my name is Darren Juby, and I'm a Senior Training Specialist here at Amicus Next, and my focus is the Amicus Attorney product line. And just a couple of notes here before we begin. You guys should be seeing my screen here, so I'll just kick off my login while we're talking about this. And that is that to be able to see and take advantage of this new feature within Amicus Attorney, you do need to have the latest Amicus Attorney update applied, which would be version 20.2.0.2. If you're unsure, in Amicus Attorney, you can go to Help and About Amicus and confirm. Just a moment here, and as soon as mine loads up, I'll show you guys what I'm referring to here. Okay, so I'm just going to say okay on that. So if you're unsure of whether or not you have the latest and greatest update applied to your Amicus Attorney installation, you can easily tell by going to the Help menu up here like you see me doing, selecting About Amicus, and you will notice that down here in the lower left area of the About Amicus Attorney window, you will see you've got a server, workstation, and database version, and all of these values should be matching respectively as 20.2.0.2. Now, if you don't have this latest and update applied, please contact your administrator locally, or if you're on Amicus Private Cloud or Amicus Private Cloud, please refer to our professional services team, and they would be able to help coordinate getting that update applied for you. So, now that we've kind of covered over the basics there, let's just briefly talk about the agenda of what we're going to be talking about during today's short little presentation here. We're going to talk about what the purpose of the feedback feature in Amicus Attorney is. We'll talk about how to access and utilize the feedback feature. We'll talk about the website itself for the feedback. We'll also talk about how to access the feedback site from outside of Amicus Attorney if you needed to do so for whatever the case may be. And then at the end, of course, if we have time, we will cover off any questions that you guys might have. If you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the questions sidebar here in the GoToMeeting session, as Amanda had noted earlier, and we'll try to get to those and answer them as promptly as we can towards the end of the session. And of course, if we don't have time, please provide your email address and contact info, and we'd be happy to follow up afterwards. So now we're going to briefly talk about what is the purpose of the feedback feature in Amicus Attorney. So before we actually do any demonstrations, let's talk about why we added this feature. So the feedback feature was added to Amicus Attorney in our latest update, as I said earlier, the 20.2.0.2, and that was back in late May. This feature enables you, the user, and I want to stress that, you, the user, to provide us with suggestions and feedback in regards to any new features that you would like to see added to Amicus Attorney. Now, as well as in regards to any existing features that you would like to see either updated or changed in comparison to how they currently exist within Amicus Attorney. This feedback feature also gives you, and again I'm going to stress that, the user, the ability to see and review suggestions and feedback that other users have submitted, and it enables you to upvote another suggestion or feedback, essentially adding more voices to be heard. And we'll talk about that as we get towards seeing the actual site here momentarily. So in a nutshell, that's really what this feature is all about. It's giving you, our users, the ability to have your voices heard in regards to what you like and or dislike about Amicus Attorney and what you would like to see added or improved to make your Amicus Attorney experience even better. The suggestions and feedback that are submitted by our users are indeed reviewed by the product managers on a regular basis. And with the added abilities and metrics that can be utilized via this forum, they're not only able to review this information, but they're also able to follow up with users as well to discuss further, achieve more clarification, or if they have, questions about what it is that you're suggesting, or they might have ways that you can do what you're suggesting, they'd be able to discuss that with you as well. And of course, like anything else, the more voices that are heard on one particular topic or topics, the better. So this information can be utilized to make the case for any updates or enhancements to Amicus Attorney. So essentially, if we've got 20 or more users upvoting on the same suggestion compared to maybe 5 or 6 for some other ones, well, guess what? The one that has 20 votes, that's going to be one that draws attention very easily just by a glance, and they're going to know that, hey, this is something we really need to pay attention to. Let's investigate what it's going to take to add this feature or enhance this feature, and let's get moving on that, because obviously our users want this. So in essence, this is the chance to have your voice count towards making Amicus Attorney even better, and we invite you all to take advantage of this feature. So to do so, let's take a quick tour of how to go about utilizing the feedback feature. So now that we know a little bit more about it, let's talk about how to get to it. So there's a couple of ways we can do so from within Amicus Attorney. So first, let's take a look at these methods. The first of which, and quite frankly the easiest way of accessing the feedback feature, is when you first log into Amicus Attorney. So as you saw, when I first logged in, I'm here in my Office module. And up here next to the Help option, I do have this fancy new Feedback button. I can simply click on this button to open the feedback site. Now I'm going to do that shortly, but I want to talk about some of the other ways we can access it from here within Amicus Attorney. So let's go to Files briefly. And I could open up any one of my files here. So I'll open up Costanza versus Vandelay Industries here. And as you can see, as soon as my file details window opens, very much like what I'm seeing in the module, in the Office module, there's the feedback button up next to Help. So again, I could click on this, and it's going to bring up the feedback site for me. Now, I just briefly want to close that. I want to go over here to the People module, and as well, let me just refer back here quickly. You'll see that here in the Files module, I do have it up here as well. And if I go to Favorites, there's the feedback button. Same holds true for dailies, calendar, and so forth. So as you can see, each of these modules has the feedback option available within it. Now, as well as on the file details and in the modules themselves, I can go into my People module here, and let's open up a contact. We'll open up Mr. Costanza here. And again, as you can see, here on the People details, much like in File details, I do have the feedback option available here that I could click on this button to open up the feedback site. Now, unfortunately, there are some areas where this is not available. So as you see, if I open up a to-do, for instance, here, we don't have that option here. And the same would hold true for a calendar event. Let me just quickly open that up. So as you can see there, there's an event details window. And whether it's a to-do or an appointment, I do not have that feedback option there. So just wanted to kind of display that not all of the dialogues will have that, but the file details and the people details do, as well as the individual modules. Now there is one other way we can access it through the program itself here. And in doing so, we would go to our Office module here, and everyone will have access to the Help Center option up here in the upper left. So let's click on that. And as you can see here, it does open up the Amicus Attorney Help Center. And over here under the Contact Us section, you will see that we do have the Suggestions and Feedback option here. And by clicking on that, much like what will happen is we click on this feedback button here, it is going to open up the feedback site. So now that we've talked about the different ways to get there, essentially, let's talk about the feedback site itself. I thought that would make a nice segue. So rather than click there, I am going to click the feedback button up here. And as you can see, mine's opening up in Google Chrome because that is my default browser in this particular instance. So it has detected my default browser and opened up the site. So as you can see here, we have the feedback site in front of us. We have our Amicus Next header here, of course, and this is the Amicus Attorney User Suggestions Forum. So no matter what avenue we take to get there, once we've clicked on that feedback button, this is what we get. This is powered by an online service that we have partnered with for this feature, and that service is called Feature Upvote. Thus, you see amicusattorney.featureupvote.com here. All of the products under the Amicus Next family will have their own respective Feature Upvote pages with links to them in each product, respectively. much like we saw with the feedback feature here in Amicus Attorney. So let's take a look now at the Amicus Attorney feedback site itself and see what we can see on screen, and we'll talk about how to navigate and utilize this site. So up here at the top, like I said, we do have our disclaimer here in regards to the information that is being provided to us and how we're going to be utilizing it. We also down here have either the suggestions or feedback items themselves. So as you can see, here are some that have been submitted by users already. Now, for instance, we could click on one of these and take a look at it a little deeper. So as you can see, I just clicked on the link for that. And here is a description of what this user's suggestion is. And you will also see that other users have left comments themselves. So that is an ability that you have here. As you can see, you've got the option to add a comment here. There's where we can put your message in. You can put your name here, and of course your email address as well. And note that this is noted here. The email will not be displayed on screen so that other users would be able to reach you. However, that email address would be seen by the product managers that are reviewing all of this. That way, again, they can follow up with you guys if they have the need to do so in regards to discussing something that has been suggested. Now, another thing I wanted to point out here on an existing suggestion or feedback item is this upvote button right here. If you see a suggestion or feedback item that you want to add your vote to, please do so by simply clicking this upvote button. In doing so, that would increase that count to 15 votes. And again, the more votes that something has, the more attention it's going to draw to itself. So let me just go back out to all suggestions here. So we're back out here on the main page, and I've already kind of talked about how each one has its own vote count, as you can see here. And again, this information is beneficial to both you, our users, as well as the product managers and developers, as we can all get to see just how popular an item truly is. This type of information can be invaluable when it comes time to plan on what is going to be added, updated, or fixed in any future updates of Amicus Attorney. Now note we also have some filters here. So for instance, we have the top filter here. We also have the new filter here. So you'll see that it's showing me now the newest. If I put it back to the top, it's going to show me the top vote getters, regardless of when they were added. I also have this display filter here. Right now it's showing me all 32 suggestions or feedback items that have been submitted thus far, but you'll see that I also have these other options as well. Now there is a search field here as well, so you could type in something that you wanted to search for. So let's just use an example of report. And as you can see, any suggestions that have report in the title have been brought up as results for us here. I'm just going to go back here. And one of the most important aspects of this page here, at least in my humble opinion, is this right here, the Add Your Suggestion button. This is important because this is what I was referring to earlier about a utility being made to enable you to have your voice heard. So by clicking on this Add Your Suggestion button, as you can see, we go to this next page where we give a title to our suggestion or feedback item. We would give a description of it. If we wanted to add a screenshot for whatever the case may be, we could easily do so by clicking this Add Image option here. And as you can see, this is what I get up. So I could drag an image file here and drop it, or I could click on this to select the file, or I could click on web address and I could put in the URL of wherever that image might be located on the internet, and then click the upload button. So I'm just going to close out of that. I just wanted to display that for you. And again, much like in the area where we had the option to add comments, we can add our name and our email address. And again, I just want to stress that the email will not be displayed on screen for other users to view. Only the product managers that are reviewing this information are going to be able to see that particular piece of data. So once you've put in your name, your email address, the title, and if you've added a description and or an image or images, you could then click on the Post Suggestion button, And I'm just going to click cancel because I don't have anything in there to add at this moment. But if we were to click on that post suggestion button, then guess what? That new item that we've just added is going to be here in this list for other users to review as well. And hopefully, if they're as interested in that idea as we are, they're going to give it an upvote. And again, it's going to draw more and more attention to itself. The more votes that it gets, the more comments that it receives, and so forth. Essentially, just like anything else, the more traffic that is seen on that, the more attention and interest it's going to generate. So this is your way of contributing towards the enhancement of an already great product. What's not to like about that? Too often in this world, we all feel at times like our voices can be shouted, but may not be heard. Well, here at Amicus Next, we're not only listening, but we're giving you even more ways to be heard. So let's just briefly talk about how to access the feedback site from outside of Amicus Attorney. So let me just close this for a moment. So let's pretend that I either don't have an up-to-date version of Amicus Attorney, I haven't had the update applied yet so that I don't have this feedback option, or I'm out on the road somewhere and I'm at home or whatever the case may be, and this idea just struck me and I want to put that suggestion in before I forget about it. Very easily, I would simply open up a web browser, and here is the URL that we would use to get to this site. So you'll notice I put HTTPS because this is a secure website. Amicus Attorney .featureupvote.com. So again, that web address is https://amicusattorney.featureupvote.com. So we can access this site using any up-to-date web browser. Doesn't matter if you're using Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, Safari, Firefox, you name it. As long as it's up to date, there should be no reason why you cannot access this website. And this can be done from any device or browser with internet connectivity. So no matter if it's on a Windows-based device, a Mac OS-based device, an iOS or an Android-based device, you're going to be able to access this site. And much like what we've just discussed, no matter where you are, you get the option of making your voice heard. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the feedback feature here in Amicus Attorney. So if anyone has any questions about what we have discussed and demonstrated today, please feel free to submit them now via the question feature here in GoToMeeting. And I don't see any questions, so as of yet anyway. So just want to reiterate again, we can access it from the feedback button here in the Office module or in any of the modules. But if we go to Files, again, like I had stressed earlier, we can open up File Details. We do have the feedback button here. So as you can see, if I click on that, much the same as what happened from the modules themselves. There's our feedback site. Same holds true from the people details. So let me open up Mr. Costanza again here and click on feedback. And again, as you can see, it opened up my browser, no problems. And of course, the other area of where we can access this would be from the Help Center. If we go in there and under Contact Us, click on Suggestions and Feedback. Once again, it did open up our web browser and take us to amicusattorney.featureupvote.com. I do invite everybody to take advantage of this feature. In my years working in technical support and professional services over the course of my career here with Amicus Attorney, if there's one thing that I can say is held constant throughout my time and duration working with all of our users here, is that I can never stress enough just how important it is for us to hear your voice. It's one thing for a client to, give us a suggestion to pass along, but I've always felt this in my mind and in my heart that the suggestions and the feedback always hold just a little bit more weight when they actually come from the people that are using the product. There's nothing lost in translation because there is no middle person, if you will, that might have missed a key portion of the phrasing or whatever the case may be in trying to explain what somebody has suggested or provided as feedback. So again, I honestly cannot stress enough just how valuable of a feature this is for all of you, and just as much so, if not more so, for us here at Amicus Attorney and Abacus Next, respectively, to have all the feedback and suggestions and to know what you guys like, dislike, want to see us be able to do and so forth moving forward is such invaluable information that I cannot describe it any better than that. And please do be rest assured that this information is indeed reviewed and taken under consideration for all of the future planning that we are going through in regards to what's going to be coming out in any future updates of Amicus Attorney, that being new features, enhancements to features that really need a cleanup or whatever the case may be. Is it that graphics need to be touched up in the program? Is it that some wording needs to be changed? Again, whatever it is, let us know. This is your avenue to do so, and we'll take that information and roll with it from there. I still haven't seen any questions come up, so I'm guessing that this has been pretty straightforward information for everybody. Again, if you do have any additional questions after this session has expired, just shoot them to us in an email at training@abacusnext.com, or of course you can get me directly, djuby@abacusnext.com, and that's D as in Darren, J as in Juliet, U as in umbrella, B as in boy, and Y as in yellow. So it looks like we are definitely nearing the end of our session for today. So I would like to thank everyone for attending and participating in today's Abacus Next Free Training Thursdays Amicus Attorney Feedback Feature Session. We hope to see you all back here next Thursday, where we're going to be discussing Amicus Attorney and document management basics within Amicus Attorney. So again, thank you all for attending today, and have a wonderful rest of today and an even better rest of your week.